everybody, this is Aaron Trevino. Welcome back to our real estate and construction channel back here in the state of Texas. As you can see right behind us, the Houston skyline, and also we have Terrell Bilbo here for the second time, and there's a reason for that. We're going to be talking crypto, talking real estate, and how you can use crypto profits to invest in real estate. So why not talk to an expert himself? Terrell, how you doing?
Good, man. How you been?
Good to see you again.
Likewise.
I know we had a pretty solid show the first time, and we're going to go a bit deeper on a few topics. Could you tell us kind of the relationship between crypto and real estate? Because you would think that they're both two potentially entirely different things, but how do they really work together?
Well, I think with the advancement of everything, so we look at real estate, it's an asset at the end of the day, right? And assets always have to keep up with technology. So that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the use cases of crypto and the blockchain come into the real estate space for the first time, but in a real way. And basically, it's looking at it from a standpoint of increased efficiency, cost savings, and some other things, especially when you look at the blockchain and how it's being used. So I think it'll revolutionize the network, revolutionize the system that we're in.
Absolutely. And out of any time right now, we're in summer of 2024. Why is right now a unique time for crypto in real estate?
Well, I would say right now is a perfect storm, right? Right now is a perfect storm. You have all of these different things that are coming together, especially when it comes to crypto, right? There was an event that happens every 4 years in crypto called the halving. That happened on April 20th of this year. So typically after that, it's preceded by a bull run. So that's what we're sitting in front of, right? So we're sitting in front of the next bull run, and then you have the most amount of money that I feel that has ever come into the space at one time. You have BlackRock, Fidelity, JP Morgan, all of these guys are in the game now, right? So it's just a perfect storm of liquidity, a perfect storm of notoriety that's happening now, and it's getting ready to just hit all at one time. On top of the fact that you look at what's going on in the real estate market, it might be softening a little bit, but for guys like myself, that's an opportunity. Now I can get profits on this end, take those profits and put them into tangible assets.
Sure, and I think that it's interesting how you mentioned a lot of those big institutions, right, like JP Morgan or BlackRock. I don't want to say there's been a stigma to crypto, but it's almost like you would think that it's more of an independent investor sort of thing. But if all this capital is flooding in from these big guys, it sounds like there's a reason for it.
Well, it's the legitimacy of it now,
right?
Because a lot before, I've been in crypto since 2017. So for the first 7 years of my career, it was like me trying to convince people, man, this is going to be something big.
Right.
And now, basically the news and all these big guys are doing the marketing for me. So
Sure.
It's just like now, hey, just sit back and ride the wave now, because the work that we put in over these last 7 years are getting ready to come to fruition.
Sure. I guess out of curiosity, what's changed over the past 7 years in terms of people's perspective on crypto being changed? Was there a certain moment when you saw it change, or what was that like?
Well, I think it's like they always say. First they laugh at you, then they fight you, then they join you. So that's basically what we're seeing. They fight tooth and nail, but I think part of it in the beginning was, what is this funny internet money? It'll never replace the dollar. And then you start to see other economic things happen with the U.S. The debt that we're in, $35 trillion in debt. $1 trillion every 100 days that we're paying on interest.
Right.
So people are starting to wise up to that, and people remember 2008. Like most of us were too young to remember like the crash of the 20s and the 30s or whatever, but we remember 2008.
Right.
We remember how it felt during COVID, right? We remember these things. So, it's just like anything else. Like once you're armed with the information, you do your best not to let it happen again. So I think that's kind of that shift, especially being at home in COVID. You had a lot of people for the first time start to look at trading as an option, start to looking at investing as an option.
Right.
And then they were able to sit home and really see returns, not having to go into the office. So
right.
Once the genie is out of the bottle, it's out of the bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's no going back. So it's almost like that perspective just changed in terms of, maybe it sounds cliche, but kind of the work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Do I really need to be in the office, or what am I actually doing with my money aside from it sitting in a savings account, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. You know, when we were on the phone earlier, I mean, this was a while back, but it struck me when you said that we're under the biggest transfer of wealth in our lifetime. You know, could you describe what does that actually mean?
Well, so if you understand what's happening again with the crypto space, right? So in my lifetime, I'm 44 years old, right? I've never heard of a new currency, but now you're hearing about a new currency, right? So what is happening, and then on top of that, if you look at us as a society, we're one of the oldest societies in the world, right? We have more baby boomers, more older people than any other society, right? So what is happening is that you have these older people that are getting ready to transfer this wealth to the Gen X and the Gen Zs, our generation. So that transfer of wealth is getting ready to happen, right? And then if you look at us, we grew up Nintendo games, digital, right? So you're getting ready to hand over, just in baby boomers accounts with mutual funds and things like that, you're getting ready to hand over $30 trillion to us. And what are we gonna do with the money? We're not doing the stocks, the bonds. That's not where we're gonna invest our money and our time. We're gonna invest our money into digital assets because that's what we understand. It's nascent to us.
Right.
So that's why I say the transfer of wealth is happening, because they're gonna give us the money. And then what are we gonna put it in? We're gonna put it into what I would consider to be the penny stock of our generation. Like all these crypto projects that you're seeing and things, like it's the penny stocks of the generation, right, before it became mainstream. Like that's what we're looking at right now.
You know, it's funny. Last night I thought of you because I had read something. It was talking about how a lot of digital assets or things in the digital space, that's the new oil.
Yeah.
Right? So you know, maybe the wildcatters would go out or the roughnecks would go out and they'd drill for oil, and they would hit it big, right? It kind of seems like we're seeing that in a digital sense. So I thought of you when I saw that.
Yeah, absolutely. The digital gold rush is happening right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I always think of just problem solution, but right now in the crypto space, in the real estate market, what need or what problem is crypto solving, particularly in the real estate space?
So when I look at it, I think it's more from a standpoint of a efficiency situation. Like I always used to say, I did mortgages for years, ran a mortgage company. I've been in real estate for over 20 years. So like I always say, it takes an act of God to get a file across the finish line.
Right.
And just because of how many hands have to actually touch the file, right? But now with blockchain technology, you're able to access information within seconds. So like I said, I've been telling my title company for years, like, hey, you need to get on the blockchain, because if you don't, and other people are, you become obsolete, right? So it solves that problem. And then when you talk about, like, if you've ever dealt with a piece of land that had airship issues, right, and you got to chase everybody down and try to figure out and get people to sign. Well, when all that information is found on the blockchain, you don't have those issues. You don't have to chase people. It's all the ownership is there. We know who owns it. It's no disputing the record, right? So now everything is there that you can access within seconds.
I mean, but in a sense, it almost sounds too good to be true, right? Like, how can you just say there's this one panacea that just makes all the problems go away? Like, what exactly is blockchain, and how are you able to keep all this information in a place to where, hey, I don't have to hunt these heirs down, it's already done, right?
And then I wouldn't say it's just like this magic trick, but what it is efficiency, right? Because most of the time the issues that we come across in real estate, in banking, or wherever you look at, it's due to human error, right? So when you're able to program a system to say, when A happens, B happens, when B happens, C happens, then you remove the human error, right? So you kill the errors out of the system.
Right.
And that's what the blockchain does. So blockchain is just an open ledger that's immutable, can't be changed, can't be manipulated. If there is an error, then the error has to stay, and then the fix has to be put in there. So you see the error and you see the correction. You don't get to erase it and go back. So,
right, because it's programmed in, you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow. Why do you think that a lot of those title companies are hesitant towards doing something? Why would they not just want to get on board with that? If JP and all these other people.
I mean, I think education is one of the biggest things, first and foremost, right? I think there's a huge learning curve. For me, I think I was fortunate in this space is that I'm a computer engineer major, so I think technically already, right? But for some people, using technology is like, I don't want to touch it, you know? So I think a lot of it is the education and the, something new. Something new is always going to be met with some kind of, hey, I don't get it. And this thing has been working for me for these last couple of years. And most people won't change until they're forced to change. And typically, like I always say, it's like when it's forced upon you, it's probably not the best thing for you. So it's always, for me, it's always been better to get ahead of the curve and actually figure it out, learn it, do the new thing, take the bumps and bruises. But when it comes back around, you'll be in a better position.
It's kind of funny how out of any industry, it kind of seems like real estate is kind of the butt of a few jokes because of how antiquated it can be, and just maybe adopting technology in real estate, it kind of seems like it's been a little behind in terms of, kind of adding that technology aspect to it, right?
Yeah, when you look at real estate, it's the oldest profession in the world. God's not making no more dirt. So, but everybody needs some place to stay. But just like anything, it will catch up with the technology. It will be a shift because you'll be forced to. Like I tell people about the blockchain and cryptocurrency, whether you like it, understand it, want it to be here, it really doesn't matter. Like it's here, it's coming. It's going to be implemented into everything that you do. So for me, like again, we missed the .com boom, we missed the gold rush, we missed all of these things. Like I think it's imperative that we don't miss this one.
Absolutely. And when we spoke, you were talking about the word tokenization. So in this context, what does tokenization mean related to real estate?
So if you take for an example this beautiful building that we're in today, right? The majority of us don't have the means to buy this whole building by ourselves, right? But we can tokenize it, meaning that I can own a fractional share of a real world asset, right? So that's all tokenization is ownership of real world assets in bite-sized pieces, basically. Right? So you don't have to buy this whole building. You can share that risk, especially for an investor. And it makes even more sense now because now I don't have to put all my eggs in one basket. I can actually share the load with other people, other investors who that want to invest, right? And then I get a percentage of the returns based on my pro rata share of what I invested, right? So it limits your risk, and then it allows you to access the assets that you would normally have access to.
So how is that different from a syndication? Is it kind of
pretty much the same?
Okay.
Pretty much the same. The only thing that I would say that differs with some syndication things is the amount of time that you have to stay in the actual investment. Most times it's 5 to 7 years. You got to ride the ups and downs. With blockchain and especially one of the platforms that I'm a part of, Tokenize Assets, if you have a position in a building like this and say, hey, I've done well over these last 12 months, I've received my monthly dividend payouts, but I'm ready to close shop. You can sell that position to somebody else, and it doesn't affect the ownership of the group. You can basically remove yourself. We replace you with somebody else, and it doesn't affect anybody else in the circle.
Okay, so you're kind of mitigating risk in a sense, right? Because it just continues.
Absolutely, because like I said, if you have a situation that there's a forced sale or something like that, you might not be ready to sell, right? But again, with the blockchain, it allows for governance. Like when people talk about decentralization and then the opportunity being spread amongst all of us. Well, the great thing about that also is that consensus can win, right? So if you say, hey man, this building here is, we've grown 100% in the last, 5 years or whatever the case is, it might make sense for us to sell now. And then you can take that to a vote. And then now you can, so some people might want to say, some people might want to leave, but majority rules in that situation. And I think that's true democracy right there.
Right. So you're kind of mitigating the risk, but there's almost that democratic effect to it too.
Absolutely. Do what's best for the group.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. And I guess that would also encourage people to invest together as opposed to me being a lone ranger and going in by myself. Right.
I'm telling you, people need to understand that I don't believe that we were meant to do this by ourselves. We're stronger together. The more like-minded people that you have in one group, you can move mountains. You know? So don't try to go at it alone.
Right.
It's not. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's interesting how you mentioned you've been in the mortgage business for a long time and very well versed on the technical side, the finance side, the tokenization. But I think a lot of people would be curious about funding, right? So how would you suggest that someone even look at, funding with, are you getting funded via crypto, or are you using, I guess it can be a little hard to understand, where does crypto come in with, hey, me funding an actual deal?
Absolutely. So most people, like if you go get a loan or whatever the case may be, right, you need some kind of collateral, right? They want to see your bank accounts. They want to make sure last 2 years of tax returns or whatever the case. So they're looking for what collateral or what is the likelihood that you'll be able to pay this loan back, right? Well, with crypto, they actually have loans that allow you to either put it down as a down payment, or they allow you to actually leverage your crypto, right? And the great thing about that is if we just really want to talk wealth principles, right? The wealthy, they don't sell the underlying asset. They live off the interest of it, right? Or they leverage it, right? So you're able to say if you did well in crypto, I made $1 million in crypto. Now what I do with this money, right? Well, you have certain platforms that you can go and you can basically leverage your crypto. They'll give you 70% loan to value. Now you can take that fiat money, $700,000, and go buy something. And you just did two things, right? You eliminated, in some sense, the tax burden that you have, because you're not taking profits, you're actually borrowing against it. So that's a debt instrument. And I'm not a tax professional. I want to make that clear, but from my understanding, that's what you're doing, right? You're able to take a loan out against your own crypto, and then go buy that asset or go buy that real estate or that income producing. And I always say, always have a plan for your money. Like a lot of people get credit and get funding and all these different things to go buy things they don't appreciate, right? But I think it's important to take that money and put it in the assets, right? And once you create that asset, create that cash flow, then go buy the cars and houses with the cash flow.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I would suggest. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, because whether you're doing a flip or new construction or development or whatever it is, people are always talking about, where's the money coming from, right? I only have so much cash to put in, and then if you're adding this other element of crypto, how does it all fit together with your strategy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's just I'm not of the illusion that we're still not dealing with digital money. So that's why I tell people all the time, it's like, yes, we are dealing with digital money, right? So once we do well in this next bull run, make sure you go put this into some real estate, go buy you some land, go buy you a food source, go buy you these things that say, Lord forbid, that we go black. You have something tangible as well with this money.
Completely.
Yeah.
And that's also one thing that I have a question about, really, is in terms of percentages, how much of my portfolio should be crypto versus assets, or where exactly does crypto fit in with your portfolio?
Well, for me, I can't lie. Just because I know where we are in this cycle, I'm heavily, like I would say, more than 60%.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
in crypto.
In crypto.
Wow. Okay.
Because I just, and then I'm actually doing more real estate deals to buy more crypto, right? So that's my biggest thing. But it's always, it's always a reversal, right? It's a money rotation. Okay. Like you move your assets to the hottest thing.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say, and I hate to say the hottest thing, but it is when you follow the money at the end of the day. So I'm gonna move my thing into this lower asset, so I can buy crypto with pennies on the dollar right now. Let it do its run, let it do its thing, and then I take that and then I did convert that into something else. Now I have more money to buy real estate. Now I have more money to buy land. Now I have more money,
Okay.
But you gotta ride the hot hand at all times.
So would you say they're sort of feeding each other? Because I would think that maybe your crypto would feed your real estate, but it sounds like you're kind of going back and forth with them.
Well, my real estate is feeding my crypto.
Okay.
Because this is the thing. Like, so if I buy a house, right? If I buy a house and that house appreciates 10%, well, it might take me 5 to 10 years, or just based on where you're at, it might take 5 to 10 years for that house to appreciate 10%.
Okay.
Well, I can tell you, with pretty good certainty that anything that I buy, and not everything that I buy in crypto, but for the most part with my portfolio, in the next 6 to 18 months, that investment is gonna appreciate way more than 10%.
Right. Wow. Okay.
So it's just like, what I can do in 6 to 18 months, I wouldn't put it into something that's gonna appreciate over 5 to 10. But if we're talking long term, that's when the real estate comes in, and you want to take that digital money and put it into something that's more stable and secure. Now, in crypto, there are going to be definitely projects that you hold for the long term. Bitcoin being one of them, XRP being one of them, like things like that. You're going to hold those. Ethereum being one of them. You're going to hold those for an extended period of time. But for the most part, the game now is to find these projects that have very low market caps, put the right amount of capital in them, and take the ride, and make sure you're always taking profit along the way. And that's what I teach in my masterclass. Like, it's not just about crypto; it's the actual overall strategy. Once you have the money, now what?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's you mentioned education there before. That's kind of where that education aspect comes in, because I would have never known, hey, Bitcoin or Ethereum, those are longer term plays. Right?
Yeah. No, you got to get, like, I would say to anybody, like, and I tell people all the time, even if it's not me, like, find somebody who really knows the space and know what they're doing. Because, like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I'm not here to sell anybody anything. I'm here to educate. My biggest thing is teach a man to fish, they'll eat forever.
Right.
And crypto, trading, money, all of this stuff, it's a skill at the end of the day. It's a skill. And if you learn the skill, can't nobody take it from you.
Right. Exactly. Especially as, it's almost like our thoughts on finance and life and education, it's really shifted so much over the past 4 years, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what better time than that?
I love it. And especially for the kids, but we have to do our part. And that's part of what my education platform is about. Is like, these kids, they won't have the opportunity to go to Walmart and do the job and like that. Those jobs are going to be gone. Right, so if they're not learning soft skills like coding, learning how to use ChatGPT and AI, learning how to trade, learning how to make money from their phone, putting digital products online and creating that type of revenue for them, it's going to be hard.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Where it's almost a revolution in a sense.
Absolutely.
Right? Like everything is just changing so quickly into this next phase.
So I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly what it is. I had one of my good friends, Mr. Sloan, Adrian Sloan. He said the same thing. He said, T, what people don't realize is that most people are still living in the industrial revolution, where rail cars and steel and all that was a thing. But we're in the technology revolution now, and the ones that who will do the best are the ones who have the right information.
Right.
So it's all about the information that you're getting.
Right.
You can spend all day on TikTok scrolling and looking at things that won't benefit you. Or you can take that same time and build your mind around finance and what's going on right now and figuring out the right information when it comes to this money and what's coming. And you'll see the difference if you do that, I believe.
Completely. Education, crucial.
Absolutely.
Out of curiosity, do you think that crypto ever beats cash flow? Because I know, people will say cash flow is king, but is there ever a time when crypto actually beats cash flow?
Well, I would say making cash flow in crypto is the best thing, right? So like I teach about these platforms called staking, right? It's just like a better version of your savings account. So most of us have a savings account or whatever. You put it into a bank, you get paid 0.00 nothing on your money, right? But they're out there lending it out for 5, 10, 13%, right? But they're paying you less than a penny. Less than 1% on your money. Well, with the staking, you're able to take your assets in a digital form, stake them, and get a higher yield than you would if you took it to the bank. So that's also cash flow, right? So I can tell you a few platforms I'm looking at now. Say if you were making, hypothetically, we'll say hypothetically, but you were making 4.7% every 7 days on your money, right? $10,000, $400 a month. I mean, every 7 days, every week, right? So that's positive cash flow. And I did two things. I've created cash flow for myself, but I also still have the underlying asset, right?
Right.
But then also the bigger thing about crypto is that $10,000 that I bought into that asset, let's say it starts to increase in value. So now I'm not only increasing my underlying value, but I'm also getting paid more yield on the increased value.
Ah, okay.
So you get the double dip. You know what I mean?
So you get the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
Cash flow with crypto.
You just got to know how to do it.
Right. Yeah. It can seem like a foreign concept, really, because it is, right?
Well, is it though? Is it?
Yeah,
because you've heard of savings account, high yield savings account, right?
Yeah.
Same exact thing. You're just doing it yourself. See, most of us are used to, hey, go into the bank, take my money. I don't just do what you do with it, you know, or your 401k or whatever it is. You just put it into a bunch of stocks. I'm using somebody else's brain to just figure out my money for me, right? That's what most people do. But if you just take a little bit of time to learn, just a little bit, it doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to go super deep and say this is going to be my everything, but just learn a little bit more about it. You will realize it's easy as pushing a button on your phone.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think that crypto will help? I know down here in Texas, really all the major metros, really all over the state, we have so much land and so much demand for people, who are moving here and coming here. They obviously need somewhere to live. Do you think that crypto could fill the gap, or crypto could help the affordability crisis, or maybe the affordable housing crisis we're having?
I'm glad. I'm glad you brought that up, because I've actually, and this was years ago, but I actually thought about it because I'm in development. We build houses, so I always thought about that because and I'll tell you a story. Like when I used to do mortgages, right? And they used to have to sign the good faith estimate. Basically, they'd be buying a $130,000 house or whatever the case is, and then I look at total number of payments, and it said like 450,000. Like I was just like, there's no way they're signing this piece of paper. No way. But they sit down at their table and they don't even look at it. But that never sat well with me. Like, why are you paying so much more for this house than it's worth, right?
Sure.
So that means you really never own anything, right? So my thing is, how do I devise something that helps people own their properties outright and do it faster? So my idea is, and I don't care if anybody takes it because I'm gonna do it anyway because there's millions of people that need help. But like say if I'm a developer, right, and I'm doing either owner financing or whatever the case is, helping people come into these properties, and I take a portion of that monthly payment, like say it's $200, or if you want to, or have a scale where if you want to pay your house off in 5 years, 7 years, whatever the case is, you add a little bit more to your monthly payment, right?
Sure.
But taking that and putting it into one of these programs that I'm talking about, that you're getting 4% every 7 days or whatever, and then that part of it goes to paying down your balance or your principal balance, right? So you're investing while you're paying for your home. Most people are not doing that, right? Because most people don't touch the principal on their property till year 7, right? But what about if in that year 7, part of that payment was actually going to something that was really going to multiply the money,
right?
And that's where I was like, I can change the game because I know how to multiply the money,
right?
And I'm not interested in having you a slave to me for 30 years. I want you to actually own your property because that's where the freedom comes.
Sure.
So I'm working on it.
Yeah,
I'm working on it.
Yeah, that dichotomy is crazy though, right? You know, what you mentioned, 130,000 versus 400 something thousand, and then I have all these payments. Do I ever really own it?
You don't, because think about this. Like my mom, she bought her house. I think it's going on 16 years now, right? So she bought it at about 102, somewhere up in there, right? And now it's appreciated, of course, so it's worth about 250, 260, right? But if her total number of payments by the time she finished comes out to like 300, 340,
right,
she's still in the negative.
Yeah.
She's still in the negative. Even though I have this equity, 250,000 of equity, I'm still in a negative 150,000. So when people don't think about it, because they think about it from a standpoint of, I'm just happy that I got approved for this house.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
But we have to change. Like if you play the game, finances and money is just a game. And if you learn what the rules are of the game, what they want to see, how to position yourself in the best way, then you end up on the winning side of the game.
Right.
You don't end up on the predatory side of the game. And that's what I try to help people understand.
Absolutely. it's that can be a little tricky though too, because you think, man, I have all this equity, but do you really, right? It's almost like you're coming at a different angle, right?
But even with that, so that's why financial literacy is important, right? Because if you do have $250,000 in equity, with the right people and with the right guidance, you can take that 250 and turn it into $1 million, right? Now you really pay off everything. You're debt free and you have a surplus of funds, right? But it's all about the vehicle. It's all about the vehicle you're in. If you're in the wrong vehicle, you're gonna go down the wrong street. But if you're in the right one, it can take you to the promised land.
Right.
So it just depends on what vehicle you're in.
Exactly. Wow, that's such a. I mean, it's a very personal story too, because I mean, it's your own mother's house, right? And you're saying, okay, well, it was bought for this. This is where we want to go, and it's. It seems like a message that more people should know about.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, is there anything that you haven't said you'd really like to just hit home for us?
Well, more than anything, man, I just want to say, like, you know, the time is now.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say that, but one thing that I always like to encourage people, or a story that I have about myself, is like when 2008 happened, totally caught off unprepared.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't know why the markets were crashing. I didn't know any of these things. And I always say, I wish I knew I was in a moment in time. Because 2008 was a moment in time. And if I had the right information, I could have killed it. I could have totally killed it, right? Well, I'm telling you guys right now, we're in a moment in time. And the more prepared you are, the better you're going to profit or benefit from this moment in time.
Sure.
So that's why I would say, you know, if you not if, but it's imperative that you get the right information, you get in the right circles, you get around the right people who are talking the right language. People that are still talking about stuff 5-10 years ago, run as fast as you can, right? Because when this divide happens, because it will happen, those who are not prepared, they're going to have a tough time.
Right.
And I truly believe that. We can look at how things are going now. You know, there's $1.3 trillion of credit card debt and things like that right now. So the consumer is already hurt.
Right.
So if we don't do the right things, we're not going to be able to catch up.
Yeah.
Not.
That it seems like that gap is really widening too.
Absolutely. And technology is just going to accelerate it.
Right. Absolutely. And I know that you do a few. It sounds like you have a lot of information sessions as well. Or you're obviously here in Houston as well. You're actively involved in the finance world here.
Absolutely. So, so just my day job, I would say, is always I'm doing the crypto education. I do a master class every Thursday and Saturday. I have private consultations that we do as well. And then also, when you look at the real estate side, we're building. We're building all throughout the Houston area, but we're also showing people how to use like that, the house hacking, as they say. Okay. You know, build 4 doors, live in one. Okay. You know, rent out the other 3. You live in rent free, and then if you're a veteran, you're able to use that VA loan 0% down, stay in there for 12 months, and then rent that one out and use the loan again. So every 12 months, as an investor, you can add 4 doors to your portfolio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then for us as a builder, we can help you build it.
Right.
You know, so it's just creating the awareness, giving the education, showing people, you know, the right moves to make with your money. Because most people say, you know, real estate is the largest investment or the biggest investment you ever make, right? When you buy a house.
Right.
That's absolutely false. That's the biggest liability you'll ever make, right? But most people don't understand that if you look at that contract, it says 1 to 4, right? So you can use ordinary financing. Your first house should always be multiple doors. Okay. So you can either stay in one and let the other one pay you. That way you're living rent free, or you can do multiple doors where you're getting access. You're getting you're getting more income and revenue. So those are some of the things that I think that people should focus on and learn how to do.
Yeah, completely. Especially here in Houston, where obviously it's a big city. There's a lot of need for it, and really all across America too. There's just this demand for good housing. Right? Yeah. A lot of our infrastructure is worn down, and we need developers to bridge that gap. Right?
Absolutely, and I think one of the benefits for me is that, like I said, I've always been in technology, and I've been in real estate and finance. So now it's just real estate and technology is coming together for me. That's really all it is. So, and I understand both of them, very deeply.
Yeah.
So I'm able to look at it and look at different situations and analyze them in a way that maybe the average person couldn't.
Right.
But for me, it's like I want to use my gifts to help people.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's so neat. Really, your whole platform is so neat. But it's neat how you're able to really kind of put those two worlds together as well. And it's, I guess a realtor could always tell you, hey, it's always the time to buy, or maybe they could tell you the same story over and over, right? But it's refreshing to hear your perspective because so much has changed over the past few years, and you're, really shedding light on it in very different ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Definitely. So, what are you looking forward to, really, in the crypto real estate space? What are you looking forward to these next 12 months?
Well, next 12 months, man, I believe that we're coming into like a super cycle, as they would say. Like I said, it's a perfect storm that's happening in the crypto space. You have JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, all of the biggest guys, all of the biggest money coming to the table. And then, you have an election season. That this will be the election topic. So if you think about it, and I want you guys to make this as common sense as possible, right? Think about it. Like if you have my mom, she watched CNN or 24 hours a day, right? Uh-huh. Now imagine that same news cycle, 24 hours a day, but they're talking about crypto. What is that gonna do? Right. More people, they won't have a choice, but well, what is this Bitcoin? What is this Solana that they're talking about? They're gonna start looking at it. And for people like me, that are positioning myself now before the new money comes in, that's the benefit. So I would always say is, listen, it's called game theory, right? It's player versus player, right? And the most prepared person will win. So the people who come in late, or they're lazy, or just gonna throw money at the problem, or throw money at an investment because they heard somebody making money, right, they will be exit liquidity. Okay. They will be the ones that I will retire from, Right. But the ones who get educated and the ones who learn, those will be the ones that'll be on the beach with me.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, is there anything you haven't said that you really just like to hit home for us?
Man, I just appreciate the time sharing your platform with us, with me. And with another thing, I will be at the Woke Money Conference, June 8th at the NRG Stadium, our center. So that's another opportunity to come out and get more information about financial literacy. I'm doing a workshop there. Okay. So it's a good opportunity to come out, learn a little bit more, and see what this crypto thing is about.
Beautiful. Well, we'll definitely have in the show notes, we will have a few links if you want to book a call with Terrell, if you want to talk, attend the event on Saturday, or if you just want more information about real estate and crypto, he's your man. So, Terrell, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. I know I mentioned it before. I just love your perspective. It's so refreshing. Clearly you're a wealth of knowledge. Just hearing the construction, the real estate, and the crypto just all working together. So I find it so fascinating. And thank you for coming on today.
Absolutely. Bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. We will have his info in the show notes. This is Aaron Trevino signing off from Houston, Texas. We will talk to y'all next time.